What if the love you've been searching for isn't out there, but within you? What if the secret to deep, meaningful connections has nothing to do with grand gestures or perfect partners, and everything to do with how you see yourself? Pause for a moment and think about this. We live in a world obsessed with finding love. Movies, songs, social media, they all tell us that love is something we need to chase, something external that will complete us. But what if they're wrong? In a quiet monastery nestled high in the mountains, there lived a monk who spent years reflecting on the nature of love. At first, he questioned it. Was love just a fleeting emotion, a romantic ideal? Or was it something deeper, something more enduring? Over time, he discovered a truth that changed not only his life, but also the way he connected with others. Today, we're diving into his journey, not because it's extraordinary, but because it's profoundly relatable. These aren't abstract concepts or mystical ideas. They're simple truths that can transform the way you think about love and relationships. By the end of this video, you'll walk away with a new perspective on love, one that starts with you and ripples outward to touch every connection in your life. Before we begin, though, I'd love for you to join our growing community of mindful seekers. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss stories like this one, where ancient wisdom meets modern living. And if you're ready to take the first step toward deeper connections, give this video a thumbs up. It lets me know you're here for more content like this. Now, let us begin at the moment when this monk realized that the true essence of love was not in the outside world, but rather deeply rooted within himself. The monk's breakthrough came when he began to see love not as something external, but as a mirror reflecting his own inner world. He realized that every relationship, whether romantic, familial, or platonic, was an opportunity to better understand himself. One evening, while sitting by the monastery fire, he listened to two fellow monks engaged in a heated debate. One monk spoke with frustration, while the other responded with calm patience. The contrast fascinated him. Why did one react with anger, while the other remained composed? He realized it wasn't just about their personalities. It was about how they viewed themselves and, consequently, how they connected with others. This insight led him to a profound truth. When I judge others harshly, I am often judging myself. When I offer compassion, I am nurturing my own soul. Love, he discovered, wasn't just about giving or receiving. It was about recognizing the shared humanity in everyone, including himself. Think about your own relationships for a moment. Have you ever noticed how the qualities you admire or criticize in others often reflect parts of yourself? Maybe you admire someone's courage because you're working to find your own. Or perhaps you feel irritated by someone's impatience because it mirrors a trait you struggle to accept within yourself. The monk called this phenomenon the mirror of love. Every interaction, he believed, held a lesson, not about the other person, but about you. By paying attention to these reflections, you could grow not only as a partner, friend, or family member, but also as an individual. To illustrate this idea, the monk often shared a story about a traveler who visited the monastery. The traveler complained bitterly about the monk's strict routines, calling them rigid and unkind. At first, the monk felt defensive, but then he paused and asked himself, "Why does this bother me so much?" He realized that the traveler's criticism wasn't about the monks. It was about the traveler's own frustrations and expectations. In that moment, the monk learned to respond not with defensiveness, but with understanding. This shift in perspective transformed the way he approached relationships. Instead of reacting to others' words or actions, he began to ask himself, "What is this situation teaching me about myself?" Over time, he found that conflicts became opportunities for growth, and misunderstandings became moments of clarity. But the monk didn't stop there. He also emphasized that seeing love as a mirror doesn't mean blaming yourself for everything. It's not about self-criticism, it's about self-awareness. When you recognize your own patterns and triggers, you can begin to heal them. And when you heal yourself, you naturally create healthier, more loving connections with others. For example, imagine someone close to you expresses frustration or anger. Instead of taking it personally, you might pause and ask, "What is this moment revealing about my own fears or insecurities?" This simple act of reflection can transform a potentially painful interaction into a moment of growth for both you and the other person. Understanding love as a mirror is a powerful first step. But how do we move beyond self-awareness to cultivate deeper, more meaningful connections? That brings us to the monk's next revelation, a practice rooted in unconditional love, one that has the power to transform not just your relationships, but your entire life. The monk's next revelation was both simple and profound. True love is unconditional. It doesn't demand perfection, nor does it withhold itself based on circumstances. But what does unconditional love really mean? And how can we practice it in our daily lives? To understand this, the monk turned his attention inward. He realized that most of us, consciously or not, place conditions on our love. We say things like, "I'll love you if you change," or "I'll stay if you meet my expectations." These conditions, he observed, create barriers in relationships. They turn love into a transaction, something to be earned rather than freely given. But unconditional love isn't about ignoring harmful behaviors or accepting mistreatment. It's about seeing others and yourself as inherently worthy of love, regardless of flaws or mistakes. The monk often used the analogy of sunlight. The sun doesn't choose who to shine on. It simply shines, without judgment or expectation. In the same way, unconditional love flows freely, without attachment to outcomes. To practice this, the monk began with himself. He noticed how often he criticized his own shortcomings, his impatience, his doubts, his fears. He realized that if he couldn't offer himself compassion, he couldn't truly offer it to others. So he started small. Each morning, he would stand before a mirror and say, "I see you. I accept you. You are enough." At first, it felt awkward, even uncomfortable. But over time, these words became a balm for his soul, softening the harsh inner voice that had ruled his thoughts for so long. From there, he extended this practice to others. When someone frustrated him, a fellow monk who spoke too loudly, a villager who interrupted him, he paused and reminded himself, "This person, like me, is doing their best. They deserve kindness, even if I don't understand them." This shift didn't happen overnight, but with practice, it transformed his interactions. Arguments became conversations. Judgment gave way to curiosity. One story he often shared involved a young traveler who visited the monastery seeking guidance. The traveler was angry, bitter, and quick to criticize everything around him. Other monks grew frustrated, but not this monk. Instead, he listened patiently, offering tea and a quiet presence. After several days, the traveler opened up about his struggles, his feelings of failure, his fear of being unworthy. The monk simply nodded and said, "You are not alone. We all carry burdens, but they do not define us." That moment of unconditional acceptance changed the traveler's life and deepened the monk's understanding of love's power. Practicing unconditional love doesn't mean tolerating harm or abandoning boundaries. It means approaching others with an open heart, even when it's difficult. It means choosing compassion over judgment, connection over control. And when you do this, not perfectly, but with intention, you create space for deeper, more meaningful relationships. But how do we bring this practice into our everyday lives? How do we make unconditional love not just an ideal, but a lived reality? That brings us to the final chapter, a guide to small, actionable steps that can transform your connections and your life. The monk knew that love isn't just a feeling, it's a practice. And like any practice, it requires intention and consistency. He often said, "Love is not something you find. It's something you create, moment by moment, through small, deliberate actions." So, what are these actions? How can we weave love into the fabric of our everyday lives? Step 1. Practice active listening. One of the simplest yet most powerful ways to cultivate love is through listening. Not just hearing words, but truly understanding the emotions behind them. The monk encouraged people to set aside distractions during conversations. Put down your phone, make eye contact, and give the other person your full attention. Ask yourself, what is this person really trying to say? When someone feels heard, they feel valued, and that's where connection begins. Step 2. Express gratitude. Gratitude, the monk believed, is a form of love in action. It shifts our focus from what's lacking to what's abundant. Each day, take a moment to thank someone in your life, a partner, a friend, even a stranger. It could be as simple as saying, "Thank you for being here," or leaving a note that says, "I appreciate you." These small gestures remind others that they matter, and they remind you of the love that already exists around you. Step 3. Cultivate compassion. Compassion starts with yourself. The monk often reminded his students, "You cannot pour from an empty cup." Begin each day by offering yourself kindness. If you make a mistake, instead of criticizing yourself, say, "I'm human. I'm learning." From there, extend that compassion to others. When someone frustrates or disappoints you, pause and ask, what might they be going through? This simple shift can transform judgment into understanding. Step 4. Show up consistently. Love isn't about grand gestures. It's about showing up day after day, in both big and small ways. Cook a meal for someone who's had a tough week. Send a text to check in on a friend. Hold the door open for a stranger. These acts may seem insignificant, but they ripple outward, creating waves of connection and care. By practicing these steps, you begin to see love not as something distant or elusive, but as something alive in every interaction. It's in the way you listen, the way you express gratitude, the way you show up for others and for yourself. And yet, as transformative as these practices are, their true beauty lies in their simplicity. You don't need to change your entire life to experience deeper love. Start small. Choose one action today, and notice how it changes the energy of your relationships and your heart. Because when you practice love, you don't just transform others, you transform yourself. And that brings us to the final reflection, a reminder of why love matters and how it can guide you toward a more meaningful, connected life. As we come to the end of this journey, take a moment to reflect on what we've uncovered together. The monk's teachings remind us that love isn't something we find out there. It's something we nurture within ourselves and share with the world. It's not about perfection or grand gestures. It's about presence, compassion, and small, intentional actions that ripple outward. Love begins with self-awareness, the mirror that shows us who we are. It grows through unconditional acceptance, both of ourselves and others. And it flourishes when we practice it daily, through listening, gratitude, and showing up consistently. These steps may seem simple, but their impact is profound. They remind us that love isn't just a feeling, it's a choice, one we make every single day. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever had a moment where you realized love was reflecting something back to you about yourself or your relationships? Or maybe you've tried practicing unconditional love or gratitude in your daily life. Share your thoughts, stories, or even challenges in the comments below. I read every single one, and I know the community would love to hear from you too. Let's create a space where we can learn from each other and grow together. If this story resonated with you, I'd also love for you to join our community of mindful seekers. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss stories like this one, where ancient wisdom meets modern living. And if you found value in today's message, give this video a thumbs up. It's a simple way to support the channel and help others discover these teachings too. Before you go, I want to leave you with this thought. Love is not a destination, it's a journey. It's not something you achieve once and then stop working on. It's a practice, a way of being that evolves as you do. So, today ask yourself, how can I show love? Not just to others, but to myself. Start small. Listen deeply. Express gratitude. Show up. Over time, these acts will transform not just your relationships, but your entire life. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for taking this step toward deeper connections and a deeper understanding of love. Until next time, love fully, live mindfully, and keep reflecting.